All right, welcome back. Today we're going to do web scraping. So I'm actually not going to teach you how to do web scraping in this video. That will be in a Jupyter notebook. The link's down below or on the course website. What I'm going to do instead is give you the warnings and the background knowledge you need to be able to be comfortable with this and to do a really good job with it, right? So on this home slide, this image here is actually a word cloud that one of the students did in this class several years ago. Scraped the data science homepage and came up with this word cloud. So you can start doing cool stuff like this. First, a warning. So web scraping is the first time that you are going to be learning things that are potentially harmful. And I'll explain exactly what that means, but there are some ground rules that I'm going to go over so that you can feel safe and comfortable doing this and not messing things up. What do I mean by messing things up? Well, there's a lot of potential ways things can go wrong, but I'm going to tell you a story about when I first learned to web scrape. So I had a bunch of company names, and I needed to figure out what domain they went to. So the company name would be like IBM, and I know that now that goes to IBM.com, but some other ones are less clear, like Washington Mutual might go to something else, right? And then something like a UCSD, even though it's not a company, would go to like an EDU. So figuring those out is hard. And so what I figured out is I could just ask Google, right? I could type the company name in, and the first link was almost always what I was looking for. So I wrote a little script to automate that. It turns out Google didn't like that. And so they would occasionally throw a CAPTCHA up. So I wrote a little thing to break the CAPTCHA back when that was much easier to do. And I probably should have known better at the time, but after a little while, Google said, oh, no, no, no. And they just turned off all traffic to my IP. So for 24 hours, I could not get to Gmail, I couldn't get to YouTube, I couldn't get to Google search, none of it. It was all shut down. Worse, it was shut down for my roommates also, who were furious with me. So, obviously we don't want that to happen, but we do want to get data from the internet. And it turns out there's a few ground rules, 5 I think, that will get us there pretty quickly. So the first is don't break things. There's a type of attack that hackers often use called a denial of service attack, and basically all that is asking for tons of data. Big denial of service attacks are done by networks of computers and are carefully designed, but for a smaller server, it's usually much harder to answer a query than it is to ask it. And so you can accidentally take down very small servers very easily. So if it's just some website or something, you want to be careful and maybe pace your queries out, or if things start looking funny, slow down. There's actually a formal slowdown request, which is a 429, and you may see that sometimes, and you should respect that when it happens. So there'll be instructions in the notebook about how to do that. Okay, so don't break websites. Second one is, in general, web scraping is less desirable than using an API. So an API is like an automated endpoint where you can ask for formatted data. And the reason you want to do that instead of going to a website is websites have all the extra formatting to be able to make it pretty, and stuff like ads and all that stuff. But they also change a lot. And so your code's going to be really brittle and possibly break when there's an update to the website. So if there is a developer endpoint that you can get access to, that's way better. So an example of that would be like checking the weather, going and scraping weather.com. You can do, but they actually try to make that hard. They don't want you to, and it changes all the time and it breaks. But there are free weather services that have APIs where you can ask for the thing and you get back really nice, rich, formatted data in a way that's much easier to load in and deal with than the stuff designed for human consumption. All right. Rule 3. There's a thing called a Robotstxt file. It's published in the domain. You can look it up, and it tells you whether or not they want automated scraping to happen, and of what kinds. So sometimes people will say, or a website will say, hey, it's totally fine to scrape my site, but don't scrape the search engine or different things. And so you just need to look at that and understand it. Many places don't publish this anymore, but if they do have one published, it's not a rule. You can violate it, but it's a request from them, and it's best practice to follow those requests. All right, this one is there are occasional exceptions too, but in general, I want you to not spoof your user agent. So a user agent is when you reach out to a website, you give it some information. And so you say, the browser will say, hey, I'm a Chromium browser, and this is my screen size, and I'm running this operating system. And the reason it does that is so that the server can make suggestions about the right stuff. So for example, you'll notice like web pages look different on mobile or on desktop. And that's because the user agent told it different things. Similarly, there might be a video player that uses one format for Chrome and a different one for Firefox or whatever because they support different video encoding standards, right? When you use Python, your user agent will actually say, hey, I'm some Python code. You can lie and get your code to say, hey, I'm a Chrome browser running on Windows or whatever. That's bad. Most places, if when they figure it out, if the server figures it out, they will get angry about it. The one exception to that is if you're testing on your own stuff and you want to see, like, what does this look like on mobile? What does this look like on Chrome? You can request your own stuff, no problem. But I think it's not best practice to try to trick the server into thinking somebody you aren't, right? Okay, this fifth one is here for completeness. And what I'll say is, as a student, you have some leeway, and academia, you can get away with some stuff that like it's not entirely clear if you're doing research what the rules are right now. There's actually some unsettled court cases and all the rest. But certainly if you're trying to make a business out of something, you need to be following the terms of service of a website or they can sue you over that. And even if the terms aren't binding or whatever, they can sue you. So it's best to understand what's there. And there may be things like, hey, you can scrape this for personal use, but you can't resell the data or whatever. So if you're getting serious about something, you should do this step. Okay. Normally when I teach this in class, I actually make people repeat back the 5 rules. They are serious. And like I said, I got Google to block my house. And if you do that in your dorm or whatever, people are going to be very cranky. So to do it real fast one more time, don't break the internet. Use the place where code is designed to plug in, because it's easier and faster and better. Don't scrape people if they don't want to be scraped. Don't lie about who you are, and follow the rules. Right? Nothing revolutionary, and if you follow this stuff, you should be good to go, and all of a sudden, you can get data from the whole internet, right? So what does this mean? Oh my God, right? There's so much there. You can go scrape all sorts of things. So I'm just going to show you one example here, which is this Lord of the Rings project. So somebody has gone through and grabbed the text of all the Lord of the Rings, and they've made these really nice plots. So they're doing some natural language processing on this, and you can see every individual chapter, whether it's positive or negative sentiment analysis in all the books. So like, The Hobbit definitely got dark in the middle. That's probably that's that spider chunk. Man, that freaked me out as a kid. There's things about character co-occurrence, and so you can see what characters, this is the one that's really slow, what characters occur together really often and not. So Bard 1 and Bilbo exist a lot, but Smeagol's off to the side, right? So you've probably seen a bunch of different types of data visualizations, word clouds, bar plots, sentiment, right? We did this stuff with NLTK and natural language processing. And so now you can combine this with the internet and really get a look at all of the rich stuff that's out in the world. It's pretty incredible what you can start doing with this. And I look forward to talking to you about potential ideas and all the rest. Thanks.